Good morning, dear students. We are going to discuss ureters today. So, at the end of the lecture, we will be able to describe the course of ureter and we will also identify the sites of ureteric constriction. We will see the important relations and identify certain areas like trigone, uvula vesicae, which are situated at the base of urinary bladder. We will try to study the blood supply, lymphatic drainage, nerve supply, and differentiate between the male and female ureters, and concluding with applied anatomy. Now, in the posterior abdominal wall, when many of the visceral organs are removed, you are finding like kidneys are there, right kidney, left kidney. From the hilum of the kidney, we have ureter. So this is right ureter and this is left ureter. And the underlying muscle you are finding is psoas major. Psoas major. Okay. So the ureter is running over psoas major. We know this is abdominal aorta dividing into right common iliac, left common iliac. Further, you have external iliac continuing as femoral, and then we have internal iliac. So this right ureter is, whether it is right or left, you can see these are the gonadal vessels which are directly coming from abdominal aorta. So the ureter is crossing these vessels to enter into the pelvic cavity, pierces the urinary bladder to transfer the urine which is actually formed in the kidney to the urinary bladder. So ureters are pair of narrow thick-walled muscular tubes which convey urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. So they lie deep to the peritoneum, retroperitoneal basically, that is behind the peritoneum, closely applied to the posterior abdominal wall in the upper part of the lateral pelvic part. Now, let us see the dimensions of these ureters. Ureters are conveying urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. Length is 25 centimeters and diameter is 3 millimeter. Now, the parts are like the part of the ureter which is starting at the hilum of the kidney, the entry-exit point, that is actually called as pelvis part of the ureter. The one which is running over psoas major muscle, this is abdominal part of the ureter. After crossing iliac vessels, this is our pelvic cavity, right? The part of the ureter which is running in the pelvic cavity, you call it as pelvic part of the ureter. Okay, then now let us talk about the abdominal part which is passing downwards and medially passes, it is below the peritoneum, that's how it is retroperitoneal, enters in the pelvic cavity by crossing the termination of common iliac or external iliac artery. This part of the ureter is plastered to parietal peritoneum, that means it is attached to the parietal peritoneum. Now coming to the abdominal part, the posterior relations are, which muscle is this over which the ureters are running? Yes, psoas major. And the fascia covering it is psoas fascia. Closely related to this, we also find genitofemoral nerve and the tips of the transverse processes of lumbar vertebrae. Now, see, this is the right ureter. When you talk about the anterior relations of right ureter, it is related to parietal peritoneum. This is right gonadal artery, that is the right gonadal vessel coming from abdominal aorta. Then second and third part of the duodenum. This is second part of duodenum, this is third part of the duodenum. This is the outline of the right ureter. Okay, then this is right colic artery and we have ileocolic vessels, then root of mesentery and terminal part of ileum. This is the terminal part of ileum. So these are the anterior relations of right ureter. Okay, then this is left side, this is whole thing is left ureter, white in color from the like kidney. Then left side again anteriorly it is related to parietal peritoneum. These are the left gonadal vessels. We have left colic and sigmoidal vessels and apex of the sigmoid mesocolon. Okay. Now see, this is the left ureter and this is the apex of the sigmoid mesocolon. coming to the pelvic part. So the pelvic part is entering into the pelvic cavity. So in this we have vertical part, which is also described as the first part, which is running downwards beneath the peritoneum of the lateral pelvic wall along the greater sciatic notch, and it is reaching the ischial spine. Okay, so this is just a small review of our pelvic cavity. This is the greater sciatic notch, ischial spine, we can see here. Now, see, this is the ureter and this is the pelvic cavity where it is going. So the second part is oblique part, which is moving from the ischial spine. It is passing forwards and medially through extraperitoneal tissue and reaches superolateral angle of urinary bladder. This is the superolateral angle from where the ureter is opening. So it is 5 centimeters from opposite ureter. Then see, this is the ureter and this is the wall of the urinary bladder where it has oblique course, and finally you can see it is entering into the urinary bladder. Now the pelvic part, the third part of the pelvic area is the intravesical part, which is entering into the wall of the urinary bladder, pierces the musculature of the bladder, undergoes oblique course downwards and medially through bladder wall and opens into the interior of urinary bladder. It is 2 centimeters long. Now this is this one, intravesical part. Now, overall, now let us see the relations of this pelvic part. First part, anteriorly it is covered with peritoneum. In females, it forms posterior boundary of ovarian fossa related to ovary and uterine tube. We are finding this is the uterine tube, we can see, and also ovary. Okay. This is ovary and this is uterine tube. Anteriorly, it is related to these structures. You can see this is the ureter, this is the uterus, fallopian tube, and white in color is the ovary. So you can see anteriorly, it's very much clear, like it is related to the fallopian tube and also to the ovary. Now, the first part of the pelvic area, you see behind from before backwards, it is related to this artery, that is the internal iliac artery and its anterior division. Correspondingly, we will have internal iliac vein, lumbosacral trunk, sacroiliac joint. Medially, it is covered with peritoneum. The first part is laterally related from above downwards to obliterated umbilical artery, then obturator nerve, obturator blood vessels, inferior vesical artery, middle rectal artery, and in females, uterine and vaginal arteries. Okay, so this is the obturator nerve and this is the inferior vesical artery, this is the obturator artery. These are all lateral relations of the first part of the pelvic part of the ureter. Okay, this is ureter. Okay, common iliac artery, external iliac artery, internal iliac artery. These are the divisions, obturator vessels, obturator nerve and all. Now coming to the second part or oblique part of the pelvic part of ureter in male, below and laterally, this is our ureter. This is ureter and this is ureter. So below and laterally, it is related to levator ani muscle and its fascia. Above and medially, it is crossed by this structure, that is vas deferens. Below, upper end of the seminal vesicle, surrounded by vesical venous plexus. See, this is the cross section of the pelvic cavity. This is pubic symphysis, behind which we have urinary bladder, uterus, rectum, anal canal. Okay, this whole thing is the cross section of pelvis, and these muscles, what you see lower down, is actually pelvic diaphragm, where we have levator ani muscles, iliococcygeus, pubococcygeus, ischiococcygeus. Okay, you can see the course of ureter, how this golden colored structure is passing to enter into the urinary bladder. So second or oblique part in female, above lower attached margin of the broad ligament. You can see this is all broad ligament. This is the lower attached margin where you can see the ureter. Okay, very closely it is related to uterine artery. Both are very much like closely moving. Please observe this. It has clinical significance also. Sometimes if you think like during gynecological procedures and obstetric procedures where you need to ligate uterine artery, where you need to tie the uterine artery to prevent bleeding, sometimes we may think ureter for uterine artery, and if it is ligated, there will be a risk of damage to the ureter. Okay, so you can see both are very much closely related. So uterine artery crosses above and in front of the ureter from lateral to medial side. This is the lateral aspect of the artery. This is the medial aspect of the artery. Then it is passing upwards to enter between the two layers of broad ligament. Okay. Second or oblique part in female, below it is related to transverse cervical ligaments, also called as Magenrod's ligaments, which we have studied when we were doing uterus, lateral fornix of vagina, levator ani muscle. Laterally, the second or oblique part of the ureter, it is related to uterine artery before it crosses the ureter. So second our oblique part in female. So medially we have the supravaginal part of the cervix uteri, which lies about 2 centimeters medially, where cervix is levo-rotated, that is tilted towards left side. Left ureter comes close in contact with the cervix than right ureter. It's related to anterior vaginal wall. Third part is intravesical. In the interior part of the urinary bladder, represented by ureteric fold of mucous membrane, which extends upwards and laterally from corresponding ureteric orifice. Now let us see what are the various factors which are not letting the urine to go back to the ureter. The course of urine is from the kidney to the ureter, from the ureter to urinary bladder, from urinary bladder to urethra. Then it goes out. There is no reverse journey. So how is this prevented? See, the direction of ureter is oblique in the wall of the urinary bladder. So oblique direction of intravesical part of the ureter. This triangular area we know is trigone. The muscle here is trigonal muscle, which by contraction maintains the obliquity of ureter. Peristalsis of ureteral muscles passes up downwards at a rate of 2 to 5 times per minute. Urine is collected in bladder in jets, not by continuous drops. Now this slide is very, very important. Ureteric constriction can be an important 3 marks question. Sometimes ureter itself can come as an essay question, but constrictions is more common question. Now the points where the ureter is narrowed, that point is actually called as constriction. We have such 3 constrictions. Okay. So these are the points. Why it is so important? Because these are the points where there may be impaction of stones, kidney stones, renal stones. If they are small in size, they may get stuck over any of these 3 points. Hence, it is important. The first constriction we will see at uretropelvic junction. That means at the starting point. Okay, the lower pole of the kidney. Next is at the pelvic brim, where it is crossing, where ureter is crossing either common iliac artery or external iliac artery. That is the second constriction. Third constriction is where the ureter is entering into the wall of the urinary bladder, which is the narrowest of all the 3 constrictions. Okay, first at this pelvis, second at the crossing of the iliac vessels, third into the wall of the urinary bladder. Okay. Now, 2 more sites of constrictions are described by the surgeons at juxtaposition of vas deferens, where it is crossed by vas deferens, and in case of females where it is related to broad ligament, and at the ureteric openings. These are the orifices. Here also there may be constriction as described by surgeons. Now coming to the blood supply of ureters, the branches of multiple arteries throughout its course. From above downwards, we have so many arteries supplying ureters. From above, you see renal artery, this is gonadal artery, we have lumbar artery, peritoneal artery, common iliac artery, internal iliac, inferior vesicle, middle rectal, and in females, uterine and vaginal arteries. Now, arteries supplying the ureters divide into ascending and descending branches which form longitudinal anastomosis. Okay, the veins correspond to the arteries. Whatever arteries names we have seen, veins are draining into those corresponding names of arteries. Finally, the venous drainage enters into the inferior vena cava. Lymphatic drainage, the upper part of the ureter is draining into para-aortic group of lymph nodes. Middle part is draining into common iliac group of lymph nodes. Lower part is draining into external and internal iliac group of lymph nodes. That means they are all draining into the lymph nodes nearby, that is in vicinity. Now coming to the nerve supply of ureters, sympathetic nerve supply comes from T12 to L1 spinal segments through renal, aortic and hypogastric plexuses. Parasympathetic comes from S2 to S4 spinal segments through pelvic splanchnic nerves. Now that's all that finishes the ureter. Gross features we saw, constrictions we saw, blood supply and nerve supply. And then coming to the applied anatomy. Now the mobilization of ureter, you see the branches of arteries supplying the ureter from they are forming an anastomosis and the fat and fascia around the ureter. Therefore, surgeon should bear in the mind that stripping of the fascia while mobilizing the ureter for transplantation may interfere with the blood supply of ureter, leading to the necrosis of ureter, because we are all finding throughout longitudinal anastomosis. So be careful to strip the fascia while doing the renal transplantation. Now, the identification of ureter. Ureters are of course readily identified in life by its thick muscular wall, which is seen to undergo worm-like rhythmic movements, especially when it is gently stroked or squeezed. Now, ureteric calculus, that is stone, they lodge at any one of the sites of anatomical constrictions of ureter. Particularly, we see at pelviureteric junction, where it is crossing the pelvic brim and where it is entering into the wall of the urinary bladder. And the ureteric colic, colic means pain, occurs due to obstruction of ureteric lumen by stone. So we see referred pain of the ureteric colic is related to cutaneous areas innervated by the same nerves, spinal segments as that of the ureter, that is T12 to L2. This is the line of the distribution of ureteric colic. So pain of ureteric colic commences in the loin, shoots downwards and forwards to the groin and then into the scrotum in males and labia majora in case of females. So pain from upper ureteric obstruction is referred to lumbar region. Pain from middle ureteral obstruction is referred to inguinal, scrotal or mons pubis and upper medial aspect of the thigh. So pain from lower ureteral obstruction is referred to perineum. So many points I kept because usually question will be framed in a clinical way if it is coming for essay. So if something is given as a clue, like there is a pain which is seen along the loin which is gradually moving forwards towards groin in a male, or if it is female, if it is moving towards labia majora, and then you have to identify that condition as ureteric calculus, that is the stone. You have to identify the structure as ureter and then you have to start answering your essay answer as ureter. So clinical anatomy is very important now. So this is the ureteric colic. Now localization of ureteric stone in plain radiograph of abdomen. See, this is the radiograph or x-ray you are finding. You are finding the shadow of kidney. We are finding the shadow of transverse processes of lumbar vertebrae. So which is the landmark where the ureters are moving, behind which you have the shadow of psoas major and this is the shadow of urinary bladder. See, you can see this is colic, stone. Okay, this is one stone you can see. Now see here. Localization of ureteric stone in plain x-rays of abdomen. The ureter lies in front of the tips of the transverse processes of lower four lumbar vertebrae. It crosses in front of sacroiliac joint, swings out to the spine of ischium, and it runs medially to the urinary bladder. In plain X-ray of abdomen, therefore, radio-opaque shadow of ureteric calculus is usually seen. Just now I have shown you. At the following sites, it may be at the tips of the transverse processes of lumbar vertebrae, it may be overlying sacroiliac joint, or it may be overlying or slightly medial to ischial spine. So this is the stone what we are finding in front of the lumbar vertebrae. What is the second site I said? Sacroiliac joint. Okay. Then this is all stones you are finding. Now coming to injury to the ureters. The point where ureter crosses the iliac vessels in the ovarian fossa, where the ureter is crossed by uterine artery, most dangerous during removal of uterus, that is hysterectomy. We should not be mistaken ureter for uterine artery. Okay, and it is prone to get injured at the base of urinary bladder also. So during hysterectomy, ureter may be involved. During ligation of ovarian vessels in infundibulopelvic ligament, again there is a risk of tying ureter instead of ovarian vessels. At crossing of ureter and uterine artery by the left side of cervix, left ureter is more prone due to anti-clockwise type of movement, levo-rotated cervix. So we know like this is the uterine artery and we know this is ureter. So let's be very much careful not to tie ureter for uterine artery during hysterectomy. So when ureter is cut at the lower level accidentally, then it is transplanted to the urinary bladder. When ureter is cut at higher level, we can connect right ureter to left ureteral. You call it as uretro-ureteric anastomosis. If this is not possible, ureter is attached to the ileum. That means urine will pass out through the anal canal, entering into the large intestine via ileum. It can be given connection to sigmoid colon also. In any case, stricture formation is common. In case of obstruction, blockage of kidney, internal drainage tube, that means we are putting one stent placed in the ureter between kidney and urinary bladder in order to temporarily relieve obstruction. This stent is put. So this is the stent. This is how it looks. It's a mesh, steel mesh, specially designed hollow tube made up of flexible plastic material that is placed in the ureter. The length of the stents used in adult patient, it varies from 24 to 30 centimeter. Then pyelogram. This pyelogram is very, very important where you are actually injecting radio opaque dye either through the vein where you call it as intravenous pyelography or through the urethra which is called as ascending pyelogram. In case of descending pyelogram, that is when you inject the dye through veins, you will see the dye is getting collected in the major and minor calyces, pelvis, abdominal part of ureter, pelvic part of the ureter. In this way, we can check if there is any constriction. Then in case of ascending pyelogram, the dye is allowed to move through urethra. It enters into the urinary bladder and finally it comes to fill up the pelvis, then major and minor calyces of the kidney. Okay. So that is pyelogram, X-ray abdomen in which urinary tract, that is renal calyces, ureter and urinary bladder is visualized by using radio opaque medium. Usually iodine compounds, example Conray 420, two types we have, descending pyelogram, ascending pyelogram. Descending is also called as intravenous pyelography or excretion urography. Ascending is also called as retrograde pyelography. So you can see this is the outline of kidney. We can see the major minor calyces, renal pelvis and ureter. Okay. So here also you are finding one constriction. Here you are finding one more constrictions. This is the anterior-posterior view after injecting the dye. Okay, so right kidney shadow, left kidney shadow. Okay, these are the minor calyces, major calyces, pelvis of the ureter. You can see how the ureter is running over psoas major. Okay, it is entering into the pelvic cavity and entering into the urinary bladder. Here also same course. We have to check if there is any obstruction or stones. Okay, again you can see the outline of kidney, the calyces, pelvis of the kidney where you are seeing the starting point of ureter. Okay, so now coming to the development, ureter develops from ureteric bird. This is the ureteric bird arising as an outgrowth from mesonephric duct. Now we have many congenital anomalies like the ureters may be double, okay, double pelvis, bifid ureter, double ureters, okay. So upper ureter enters below the lower ureter. Rarely extra ureter may open outside ectopically into urethra or vagina, leading to urinary incontinence. Cause of double pelvis in premature division of ureteric bird near its termination. Cause of bifid or double ureter is too premature division of ureteric bird. Sometimes during ascent of kidney, the ureter may ascend posterior to inferior vena cava, leading to portocaval ureter. Okay. So this is the normal, this is high partial ureter, then low partial ureter, double you are finding. Completely two ureters we are finding here. Okay, there may be obstruction like this, ureterocele, complete extravesical ectopic ureter. So these are all the things what you should know in ureter, and these are the reference books. Thank you.